PrimeView TV, new media with a difference.
When it comes to choosing the right product for my skin, it's all about the ingredients for me. Nyjah skincare products are authentic, fresh, and best of all, completely organic. I love the Motherland Moisturizer. It's designed to smooth and soak in the skin without ever feeling greasy, and their Jade Roller has literally become a part of my self-care routine. Visit NyjahSkincare.com today and receive 20% off your first order. For beautiful skin you were born to love.
Hi guys, my name is Yabo and I am the founder of Masasi B. If you're looking for unique African-inspired clothing and accessories, please check out my brand. All details are at the end of this video. Feel free to get in touch. Thank you.
Curl pattern has just bounced back. Look at that, without any product in the hair at all.
When you use Sherma Haven's natural hair care product line, your hair flourishes and becomes the main attraction.
For me, it's a way of building the next generation of Nigerian leaders who are going to put our country straight on the proper path of progress and a positive future.
Okay, for me, it's a platform that will help to build upon what we already have in our youths in Nigeria and Africa. We're trying to instill in them values that you'll find in a leader. We're trying to inspire them to take up these leadership positions. We're trying to empower them with the skills and knowledge that they'll need to pursue leadership positions too. Honestly, it was out of frustration. There's a saying that goes that when you feel passionate about something, that's probably your calling in life. For me, I was frustrated with the lack of in my country, Nigeria. I was frustrated with the lack of transparency, lack of accountability, lack of connection between our leaders and the.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our show, Enough is Enough at Sorosoke, sponsored by Better Nyjah. I'm your host and anchor, Mr. Femi Oke, and welcome to the show dedicated to debate and discussions towards a better Nyjah for us all. Tonight's show is another interesting one. The question we will ponder: how much does social media and IT contribute to our youth and the economy? Is it time to restart tweeting? We have a full house tonight. My guests to deliberate this topic via StreamYard are, firstly, engineer Olumuyiwa Adelie, Director of Vitaltel Technologies. Good evening, sir.
Thank you very much, Femi Oke.
Good, Femi Oke. My next guest is Miss Ifeoluwa Sanumi, the Executive Director of My Voice, My Future. Good evening, Ifeoluwa.
Good evening, Mr. Oke. Thank you for having me here.
Fantastic. I have my next guest is Mr. Olubumi Adekunle, and founder of Lend Cash. Good evening, Olubumi.
Hello, good evening.
And we have also Mr. Adekomi Adetunji, is the CEO of AIM Academy. Good evening, Adekomi. Are you there, Adekomi? Turn on your mic. Okay, and I'm not sure, he's calling direct from Nigeria. And last but not least, we have Ambassador Spencer Anyenwelu. He's the CEO of PrimeView Television, who will possibly join us for the latter segment of the show. So I'll say once again, welcome to the show. Enough is Enough at Sorosoke. You can post messages. Is that okay? Good. You can post messages on the Facebook and YouTube live handle at PrimeView Television. We'll start the show by looking at the state of our IT and social media sector, its role for the youth and the economy, and ponder suggestions of how Nigerians can maximize this resource to create more employment. Then we'll finish with some current affairs. So if you're ready, we'll start the show by noting this very small point. A nation without adequate statistics will have difficulty planning for its future development. And a nation that cannot provide adequate power for its development is unlikely to have a future. Okay, good. So the first question, I think I'll take it to Mr. Muiwa. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you very much.
Good. So this first question is just, I'll just bring a slight intro to it. It's basically the widely accepted statistics assess our population to be between 206 million and 215 million. Of this, 70%, some 150 are under 35 years of age, most of whom are in school or are unemployed. The key statistic for investors in this population is between the ages of 20 and 60, which is the sort of working population. And of this, 33% of them are unemployed. The Nigerian Communications NCC statistics show there are currently in excess of 186 million active GSM telephone lines in Nigeria. I'm not sure how many of that 186 they've got their NIN cards. But anyway, the point I'm just trying to make is that population statistics of Nigeria are very subjective, and since we don't conduct regular census and elections, they're like political hot potatoes. How can foreign investors come into our sector, international business, when we don't have accurate accurate data? That's the first question.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I call you okay, but I correct myself, Mr. Okay.
Yeah,
actually,
that's correct.
Yeah, data is everything. Without data, you cannot do anything, because data is the new gold. You know, the interest and the drive to have data, it's not by mistake. You know, when everybody said data is everything. So like you said, like correctly said, if you don't have the correct data, you don't have the correct demography, demographic data, you said it all, you cannot plan. And if you cannot plan, there's no way you can bring, the sort of development that you mentioned, to the people. So it's very, very necessary to have an accurate data or near accurate data to be able to do this thing very well. Because if you just conjure a figure from anywhere and you're trying to work on that, the output of that, the throughput of that, whatever you're trying to do with, a data that's not accurate, we will not be fit for purpose.
Perfect. Now, I'll bring the next question to Ife, and I may bring the others into it because I know that she's going to be leaving us shortly. But Ife, I want to go straight to the heart of the matter on this question. The media sources were agog with Twitter's recent announcement that it's setting up its African office in Accra and not Lagos. It was cited Ghana as the reason because Ghana supports free speech, online freedoms, and they have an open internet. This is despite the fact that Nigeria they erroneously claimed that Nigeria has approximately 40 million Twitter users, which is more than the population of Ghana. However, this statistics has been debunked, as our usage can't be less than, can't be more than 3 million, because I've got online, it's shown that you only got about less than 3 million. So what I want to ask you is that, is Twitter not being in Nigeria, is that really a bad thing?
So when you say Twitter not being Nigeria, you mean the access to Twitter, or
Yeah,
Twitter
because they've suspended. Well, that's another matter in itself. Yes, we can look at both aspects actually. So Twitter's not registered in Nigeria. That's one issue, and two, the government has suspended it for the moment indefinitely.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you started off the show by actually mentioning the fact that data is imperative. I've heard that data is the new gold. I've also heard that data is the new oil. So data is very important when it comes to planning infrastructure development in any developing nation, especially like Nigeria. Now, with Twitter choosing to operate in Ghana as opposed to Nigeria, even though we have more internet users in Nigeria, I have read and what has been said is that with Ghana there's a lot more secure infrastructure that actually protects companies such as Twitter, because Twitter is essentially it's like a way of freedom of speech. And Ghana is a country whereby they still enable that. They don't literally have a gag on how citizens of Ghana speak, even if it's against the government, the ruling party, as opposed to Nigeria, whereby they may face some drawback because there isn't institutions in place that can actually protect the freedom of speech of youths, especially in Nigeria, especially if they want to, criticize or lambast the ruling party. So I think that's the reason why they went for Ghana as opposed to Nigeria, due to the fact that there's better infrastructure. So even like the building of where they would house their office, it's a lot more maybe safer, more secure, and there's better internet coverage. And then secondly, freedom of actually ease of doing business, basically. So institutions are they are more likely to protect companies such as Twitter in Ghana as opposed to Nigeria. That's also personal opinion.
Okay, good. We'll come back to you shortly. I want to bring the next question to Olubunmi. This question is again on this Twitter scenario. What really is the economic, and then anyone else can come in if they want to, what really is the economic impact of Twitter on the Nigerian economy? How do people make money from Twitter? As many out there have not got a clue, and is this even significant considering the size of our GDP, number one in Africa, and currently approximately $518 billion?
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Femi. I will come from the angle of the population of the youth in Nigeria. We have more than like 70% of the population of Nigeria are actually youth, and considering the high rate of unemployment in the country, a lot of people actually turn to social media, especially Twitter, Facebook, to get gigs, to get jobs, to actually promote their skills or get jobs outside the shore of Nigeria. And you agree with me now that today we have like more Twitter influencers, more people on Twitter who create skits. Gone are the days where you have to like go meet somebody. I want to be a startup comedian, and it takes a lot of process, and before you even get to the limelight, it's a whole lot of process. But these days you can just pick up your phone, sign up on Twitter, create valuable content, and you're out there. Before you know it, brands already are reaching out to you because of the followers you have, and they want to reach out to your followers. They are already reaching out to you that, hey, guy, can you please be our ambassador so we can actually reach out to a larger audience? We have a lot of influencers like that who use their platform to create value, who use their platform to dish out rich content to Nigerians, like scholarship, job opportunity, venture, VCs, angel investors, and all sorts. For me personally, I would say I started my IT career from the social media. I have a background in accounting and finance, and right from there I knew, come on, there's something in IT. That's way back 2009, 2010. And all I did was just to sign up on Twitter, Facebook, and the rest. The first gig I got was on Twitter, just to write an article of 500 words and get paid $20. And if I write article of 500 words, like 5 in a week, 20 times 5 is $100. And this time I was talking about when dollars was still at the rate of 150 naira to $1. And I was just still a university student. So from there, I was like, oh, there are a lot more opportunities on the social media. In fact, my co-founder, I found him, I got to know him through Twitter. There are a lot of scholarship opportunities, fellowship opportunities, like people get on a daily basis. The ecosystem in Nigeria is not like creating an enablement for youth to rise, and they found all this on the social media because it's not limited to the Nigerian alone. It's global. I can sit down at the comfort of my home and be a content developer for a company in the UK, in Australia, or anywhere in the world, and I get paid in dollars. And this also brings in inflow to the country. And that is where the Nigerian government is missing it. You understand? Gone are the days like you see somebody who is a photographer just like take nice picture, post up like tweet on Twitter, and people just reach out to him. The whole like guy, I like your work of art. How much does it goes for? Like I have a wedding. Can you please come to my wedding and take pictures? And people get jobs, people get opportunities. Now the primary aim of Twitter is just microblogging. But these days in Africa, especially Nigeria, it has gone beyond microblogging. It's a big business.
Okay.
So I think the Nigerian government should actually look more into that rather than just looking at it like something that is I don't want to use some vulgar words actually. Let me just stop there.
Can I add to that? Can I add to Mr. Lubumi's?
Go ahead.
So for me as well, as a young Nigerian, although I'm living in the diaspora, I've realized that Twitter is very impactful for the economic developments of Nigeria, especially for the millennials that are on Twitter. I have some data here. 61%, over 61% of Nigerians use Facebook, and over 20% of Nigerians aged 20 to 35 are using Twitter as of June 2020, right? So with Twitter, there's a lot of young people, millennials, that promotes their business, promotes their skits, as Olubumi has mentioned, promotes their ideas, thoughts that either get them paid because they will get clients on Twitter that will message them and want to do business with them, or they can retweet. So that's to share their content, which can then get them international exposure, which will then get them more gigs. So essentially, Twitter's like an instrument of creating a gig economy for Nigeria, whereby freelancers are able to take control of their destiny and promote their business so that people can actually patronize them, and therefore they make profit, and then the business owners, the millennials, will then spend the money, and that increases the GDP of Nigeria. So having that Twitter ban at the moment, it's literally restricting business flows. It's restricting people's day-to-day hustle, as they say. And as we know, like Nigeria has a huge informal sector. So a lot of the businesses that we have there, they're not necessarily registered even. Some of them are just freelance. So they're literally cutting the rope of their access to the rest of the world that will get them business.
Okay.
Right.
I wanted to see, we've got one other guy. He's not, I don't know if he's there. Are you there? Adekomi, are you there? Oh, I've lost. Okay, go ahead, Olumuyiwa.
Yes, I mean, people have spoken, glowingly about what you can, do at personal level. I want to look at it from.
Hold on. Let me Adekomi come in before you. Go on. Adekomi, look, what's your view on this Twitter? I know you're into education. You're also you're an accountant as well. What is the impact of Twitter for you and not being in Nigeria at the moment? Is it a big problem for you?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Good evening. So, is not having Twitter is that a problem for you? Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. I know you're into education. You're also into we're having a problem with Adekomi's. I think you should take it off hands free because you're getting feedback. So put it on normal. What is the you want? I think we're getting feedback. Mr. Muyiwa, go ahead.
Yes, I want to look at it from the value of actually, promoting one's country. You mentioned that Twitter was banned in Nigeria, and I think that's a very, very myopic thing to do. You cannot actually shun a kind of veritable platform like that because of ego. And if you look at the former president everybody former president of the United States, as a reason why he was on Twitter, is to actually project yourself to the world. You have many countries.
Problem for you?
No, it's not a problem to me.
Here you go ahead.
Yeah, it's to me.
I don't know what's happening with Adekomi. He's got some.
Yeah, in the first place, if you look at it, Twitter is not.
Connection is dodgy.
Looking at it, it's got. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello.
We can hear you, Adekomi. You should take it off. Wow, that's a massive delay. I don't know how it comes. Maybe the studio needs to hold back on Adekomi until he's feed is better. Look, before I go back to you and ask you guys more questions, I know you mentioned, you said they cut the Twitter because, or they suspended Twitter because you're saying ego, but that's not the narrative from government. They are citing national security issues, and that's the reason they're saying. So we'll get back to that. Let me move the question on because, as I say, I know that Ife is going to be going soon. So let me move this next question on. And basically, let's discuss everything E. So we have e-learning, we have e-trading, we have e-commerce, and we have e-party, but that's not taking pills. That's like the social network. Okay, so I want to know, what is the impact of e-commerce and e-learning? Who wants to start?
I can take the points about e-commerce because that's literally what I was just referring to in my aforementioned points about the fact that yeah, so again, Twitter enables a gig economy to be able to Nigerians can connect with each other on that platform. Therefore, they can network with each other, they can do business with each other, and that drives national development because you're improving your technical skills, your learning, so educational skills as well as economy, that you're driving the economy because you're working together and you're making profit and putting that back into the economy. So by banning such a pivotal platform, they didn't understand like the gag. It's literally like a gag. It's like you're gagging the voices of a whole generation because they're using that platform to speak, to communicate. I mean, just the other day before the ban, there was a fire in somewhere in the mainland in Lagos, and because there wasn't access to call the fire brigade, the person, the victim of the fire, that she had to tweet, "Please help me. I'm at so please I need help." And within seconds, it went around like at least 100 shares, and they got help immediately due to that tweet. So this is not just even a place for just banter and just socializing. It's literally people's life. It's an emergency line. It's a business commercial place. It's a place to share thoughts, leadership, content as well. So it's more than just an app. It's literally people's way of life now.
Okay, good. I want to move it on to any of the other two.
Sorry, Femi, before you go ahead. Yeah, I saw a kind of footage now that somebody asked Ego, maybe I need to, yes, Ego, please, Twitter is always challenging some Western nations. Will that Ego too? Well, because exactly what happened, is just to remove a tweet. That, well, we don't think this is in the best interest of people. And the next thing, just take it on the chin. Oh, it's all right. It's not going to happen again. And now saying that the whole country should not use Twitter and banning it, I don't think it's right. So the ego I mentioned is on the part of the Nigerian government that said, okay, now we're going to have a blanket ban on the use of Twitter in the country. I don't think that is necessary and called for, because there is ethic of using a particular platform. And if you can't abide by that, then that's going to be a problem. And if you are being corrected, Twitter didn't say, okay, we are not going to feed into Nigeria anymore. It's the authority in Nigeria that said, you know what, we don't need it anymore because a tweet was deleted. That's what.
Yeah, but as I say, you're saying the narrative that is not in keeping with what they said. So
no, that's my own personal opinion. I'm not trying to quote anybody. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, because it's about national security. If you don't mind.
I don't say anything that is threatening national security. I'm saying we shouldn't have this particular tweet. We're taking it down.
Let me just say what I'm saying. National security is an imperative for any nation. And if a nation perceives the purveyors of this avenue to be biased in the way that they're portraying it, and if they see it as a threat to their national security, it's beholden upon them to take whatever actions, be it positive or negative. But that's why I want to go beyond. I want to go beyond Twitter now and talk more holistically, because the idea that the economy is stifled completely because of Twitter, I think that is a bit of a myopic view of internet and the social media and e-commerce and that's why I want to broaden it and say e-business, e-commerce, e-learning. It goes beyond Twitter, does it not?
Yeah,
Can you come into that? Olabumi.
All right. For me, I think just like my fellow guest has rightly said that the Twitter is beyond just an app. It's a lifestyle, and that is why we have different sector of e-business, e-trading, e-learning, and all sorts. And if you look at Western countries, when they sanction a company, when they sanction an app, the sanction based on like an existing policy in place, which probably the company or the app has actually gone against. In the perspective of here in Nigeria, there's no policy on ground that is guiding the trading activities of those guys. Two is we don't have, even if we are saying, okay, we want to place a ban on Twitter, we want to place a ban on some other social media app, we personally don't have an infrastructure to ride on to develop our home.
Absolutely.
Take a good example, case study of China. When China closed their door against many of the United States applications, they have an inbuilt, like an in-house infrastructure where a lot of innovators, a lot of inventors in China actually wrote on. Yeah, that's when we have WeChat, we have Badu, we have Tel, as in we have a lot of companies, same in the other European countries. And some European countries don't even allow Uber to operate in their country. Why? Because they have an in-house application and a well-structured transportation system within the country that enables these things to work. But in Nigeria, we don't have such. So the best the government could actually do is to call these guys and draft like a solid policy to protect both the interest of Nigeria and to also protect the data privacy and what have you, the national security and all sorts. So instead of trying to do like an outright ban, for me, it doesn't make sense, because right now, in the aspect of e-learning, we have a lot of Nigerians that actually study abroad right from the comfort of their home. We have open courses like Coursera, we have Udemy, we have a lot of courses, and people just sit down at home and, okay, will you now say, I want to ban Coursera, I want to ban this, because Nigerians has refused to patronize the likes of Lagos State University, University of Lagos, University of Ibadan. No, we need to actually work on our own infrastructure. There are 4 major pillars that actually grow a nation: education, health system, security, and the right infrastructure. If those 4 things are not there, forget it. No foreign investor will come to your country and do that for you. Just this week, Toyota went to Ghana.
Let me just.
Can I just say
Go
something
on, finish your point.
All right, Toyota went to Ghana.
I'm going to ask another question.
To set up a manufacturing plant for Toyota.
Yeah, good. We have actually got other plants, assembly plants being set up in Nigeria at the same time, although it's not Toyota. But let me bring this other question to you, just to expand it further. What is the impact of social media and IT service on our youth? Is it not largely for fun, socializing, gaming, doing blogging, surfing, and net watching Hollywood, Nollywood films online? I mean, that's what I'm trying to get here.
Can I come in?
These things? Let me ask the question. Do these things really constitute business in Nigeria? Or is it just a time to pass away, the pastime?
Mr. Ogia, before I go, just first of all, I just want to say that Nigerian youths and all youths in general actually are not one-dimensional. We can blog and game and at the same time go and get our PVCs the next day. It's that you don't have to be doing just one thing at a time. So Twitter is not just for blogging and chatting and banter. It's also to educate each other. I've learned more about, for example, Nigerian history on Twitter than I've ever done in my classrooms. I've learned more about how to actually buy and trade from Nigerian local vendors on Twitter than I can from here in the UK. So again, it's more than just a social media network. It's literally people's way of life, how to actually make their lives better. And just to refer back to the actual reason why the Twitter ban occurred, we are not addressing the elephant in the room here, which is the reason why the ban occurred in the first place. The owners of Twitter, they decided to delete the tweets that the president, Muhammadu Buhari, tweeted, which insinuated some kind of national threats, or where it's a kind of like it was like very threatful words towards Nigerian citizens, and because of that, it was reported by many Nigerians on Twitter, and then Twitter took down that tweet. Now, in response to taking down that tweet, as opposed to getting your media relations team to actually say something like a press release that would address the issue, what they did instead was just do a jerk reaction and just ban the whole app, which was
absolutely that's wrong. You cannot do that.
Very irrational.
That's why the ego claim thing. When you
say, Mr. Olumuyiwa, when you say that's wrong, government has rules. I wanted to. I know you want to go. I wanted to say, can you say quickly about your My Voice, My Future, just before you go? Can you say a little bit about that?
Of course. So My Voice, My Future NGO, it's about educating young Nigerians about political consciousness and civics education. So what we do is that we try to teach 15 to 18-year-old Nigerian youths about the history of politics in Nigeria, governance, civics education, public speaking, and we also do some more social classes such as sex education as well, and PSHE. So I would love for you all to follow us on Instagram, My Voice, My Future, and our website is www.myvoicemyfuture.com. Thank you so much for having me. Sorry I can't stay longer. I really enjoyed it.
Do you have any future? What's your upcoming event?
Yes, we are going to Anambra in August to educate 100 students on civics education and their right to vote and why they should vote, and essentially getting them to get their PVC 2023 to secure their voices by using their PVC to vote.
Okay, what's your website again so that people can know?
Sure, www.myvoicemyfuture.com.
Thank you for coming. Now let's get back to the rest of the guys. I don't want to focus wholly on that Twitter, so let's move the question a bit away from Twitter now. So I want to talk about online commerce. It's said to be growing in Nigeria, but do we have the infrastructure? Just like one of the speakers was just saying earlier on, was saying that we don't have the infrastructure to maximize this facility. For example, our Amazon and eBay, are they in Nigeria yet? We have the Nigerian equivalent called Jumia. How is that doing? Who wants to take this question?
Okay. Quickly. You see, Jumia has been in existence in Nigeria for like 10 years, right? And for the past 10 years, Jumia has been in existence. They have never declared profit. OLX started, they packed up and went to South Africa. They started, they packed up. Gigi started, till today, they've never declared profit. You see, the terrain of business in Nigeria is quite different from the way the Western and Europeans do business. The idea of payment on delivery, it's like, I don't know how to put it right now. It's not something, it's not a business model that is valid. And Nigerians are still used to like, I want to see this thing, I want to feel it before I pay. So e-commerce is still a very virgin business in Nigeria with little or no profit. In fact, in Africa generally, with little or no profit. There is no e-commerce industry in Nigeria that can come out boldly and say, yes, we have declared profit. None. When OPay started with O-Ride, O-Sell, O-List, O-Everything. None of those businesses made profit except the fintech, the OPay. And as a matter of time, they actually shut down all those businesses and focused only on OPay. So this still boils down on the infrastructure. We can't easily track.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
We can't easily track like, oh, a customer is making an order and the logistic from end to end of all the supply chain is smooth. Fine, there are also like human factors in terms of employment where we don't have good work ethics, like employees not being honest and all sorts. Yes, it's part of it. But the major problem is part of the infrastructure. It's very, very difficult for e-commerce to be profit. That is why you rarely hear e-commerce now again. At the point everybody's
Yeah,
out, and now
okay,
sorry to
but
cut you short.
when you say, let me just go on. When you say e-commerce, things like Bet Niger, that's e-commerce. They're making money, are they not?
Well, for me, probably my own definition of e-commerce was wrong because I wasn't looking at Bet Nigeria as e-commerce, and the only industries that are making big money right now in Nigeria is the betting industry, the forex markets, and
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
count it as
those kind of those things.
In fact, the amount of money I run a fintech platform, LendCash, which is like a cross-border lending platform. When we launched, within our first week of launch, 80% of those who came to our platform to borrow money, because we could able to access your bank account from the back end. So when we do our credit check to check the account statement of people, we found out that as in average Nigerian plays sport bets 3 times in a week. So it's a very big business, and because people believe, sport bet can give me instant money fast. That is why you see a lot of young Nigerians trying to put their money in get rich quick scheme, because they believe all these things bring money faster.
Well, sorry to interject. I don't think it's a bad thing to actually do that. Betting
it's not. It's not actually.
It's a common thing all over the world.
Yeah,
it's not limited to Nigeria, and not people that they rather go hungry, even outside Nigeria. And because I have a friend to say, I have to do this thing because they believe that one day he's going to hit a jackpot. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think the fact that people are betting and you're able to capture that in your back end is it's a kind of pastime for most people to do that.
Yeah,
no, I'm just to validate.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say is that with those kind of betting sites, normally over in the UK, they put qualifiers and they put control mechanisms to limit the amount of spending, although that's what they do. I don't know if they've got legislation to that effect in Nigeria. But you're into LendCash, and before we go, you can talk more about that. But I want to speak to also, you've got e-banking, you've got things like Volt. Yeah. Is it Volt? That's
sorry for me, can I say something? I'd like to I'll introduce myself. SafeWords. I'm Ambassador Spencer Anyway. I'm the CEO of Primary Television as well. But with my experience of e-commerce in Nigeria, I think even Uber is e-commerce, isn't it? Yes, in Nigeria, you have Bolt. Yeah, you have Bolt, and I can say that from my experience with going around in Nigeria, I feel like I think Olubumi said, it's actually a growing industry in Nigeria. It's not really, it hasn't taken off as it is in the UK, for instance, where everything is seamless. The infrastructure is there. You order something on Amazon, for instance, and it turns up on time, and there's little issues here and there in terms of payments and all of that. But in Nigeria at the moment, you're seeing even with their boats, people tend to prefer to pay cash. So you use the app to order it. So there's still a mixture. That's the thing. What I'm saying in Nigeria, it's not just totally e-commerce all the way. People are still, you have the security issues, for instance. If you're calling a boat, for instance, you want to worry to see the person. Who is that man? So there's still that little apprehension as to, do I really want to go along with this? So for me, it's still a growing industry, and I feel like, yes, he said there's none of them have declared profits, but I think that's how it started in the Western world as well. Initially, they weren't making money, but once people got used to payment, purchasing goods via online platforms, and don't forget as well, in Nigeria, what percentage of the population have the debit cards to even make online payments? What percentage of the people have internet access that's really ready? What percentage of people even have smartphones? So when you look at it, you can't really compare it that way. You have to look at the real situation in Nigeria. Like you said, the infrastructure is still growing. Even in Nigeria, there's no fiber optic, broadband and all that's still not there. So it's still a growing industry, and they're only going to play catch up, got in the years ahead to establish that industry.
That's correct. Yeah, because I think two things.
Go on,
yeah, I mean, two things. Yes, to add to what you have said, Spencer, two things are the education is there. People need to be educated about the flexibility, the advantages of using, e-commerce. And to be honest with you, I think the most important thing here is the infrastructure, broadband, which is really where I'm coming from, as a telecom expert. we cannot be doing things on 2G. It's going to time out. I've been in Nigeria a few times whereby I try to access something and, you can't do things like e-commerce on HSDPA. In some areas, you just have to, GPRS sign on your phone. You cannot do anything meaningful. It's going to time out. So when you do that, people are discouraged that I don't have time to stay on this because you want to access a particular site. It's taking you 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Let me do it the way I know how to do it. So it's very important that the policymakers, pay serious attention to broadband. It's the future. We cannot dance around it. People need to get, grips of this thing we're talking about. Broadband is really, really important. And even if you look at the mobile networks now, maybe in areas like Victoria Island, you can have appreciable kind of signal strength. But by the time you go hinterland, where the majority of people are, the densification of the mobile, infrastructure is not just there. By the time you see on a particular base station, about over 200, 300, 500 people are camped on it, and each one of them needs to have a share, a slice of the capacity of the bandwidth. The quality of service, the performance, the throughput of the signals definitely would drop, and such cannot support, a platform like e-commerce.
Yeah. So going on to that, because you're into the tech side of things, Olumuyiwa, I wanted to say that what will free 4G and 5G Wi-Fi and broadband? I know that in Lagos, the Lagos state government is putting down a network of broadband. They're already doing it. I don't know how far they're going. I think Sanwo-Olu is doing that. But if we had these broadband hotspots or city centers, public spaces where people can access to free Wi-Fi, because it's one thing to say you've got fast, it's not that good, the quality, but even if you had fast quality, then what about cost? Cost of data in Nigeria is astronomical.
Yes, absolutely. That's another problem, that, we should address. For example, I work in the telecoms industry when I was in Nigeria. By the time you power, a base station 24 hours on generator, you have to buy diesel. You have to do a lot of things. Definitely the cost will go up. I remember some of our base stations those days, we have 3 generators, each one of them work 8 hours. Round the clock, the cost of doing business. Olubunmi alluded to that at the beginning. The cost of doing business is very, very high. Security is another one. Vandalism, arson, all this kind of thing contributes, to the problem. So definitely, the kind of, people are in business to make money. And if the cost of doing the business is so high, they have to pass it on to the people, inevitably. So that's a problem. So we have to go, to the basics and address, the problems. For example, when you're talking about telecommunication, power is number one. You cannot be running telecommunication on generator. Nobody does that. You cannot have the quality of service that you want. Imagine, the generator is a mechanical thing. It can break down. So if it breaks down, that means there's no access on that particular base station. Period. So we need to look at it.
Yes.
Yeah. So we know all this kind of thing. So that's why the cost is very high, even though, well, what do I want to say? Let me just stop there. I don't lose something.
Okay. Cost is an issue, and access to newer technologies that could reduce cost and things like that, and also local manufacturer of components, because as it stands now, everything has to be imported. We're not making much telecom components in Nigeria. I know the president was given some 12 new made in Nigeria handsets the other week for the first time, which is great. But most probably all the components are going to be imported. But you did mention about the cost of. You talked about the vandalization of property as a risk factor and a cost factor. So on that point, I wanted to talk about, and just to diverse away, that civil protests such as Revolution Now, End SARS, Buhari Must Go, have all used online social media to maximize their coverage, increase support, and raise funds. In the light of the End SARS protest hijack, do you agree? And even there's the scare of, or the scourge of possibly tomorrow, you're going to have the Odua Republic protest or march or whatever tomorrow by Igboho if he turns up. Do you agree that these need to be regulated. I think the National Assembly is looking to do that now. I know you, Wumi, you said that there's no structure, there's no legislation, there's no policies. Maybe now is the time to do that.
Well, telecommunication by itself is regulated. The core telecommunications is regulated. And that is why we have Nigerian Communications Commission. They are the regulator of telecoms, or in Nigeria. But when you're talking about platforms like Twitter, Facebook, etc., not only in Nigeria, everywhere in the world, people are thinking, can we bring some, kind of, regulation into these things? I mean, it's freedom of speech. Everybody can do anything on Twitter, on Facebook, on everywhere. Everybody's, an influencer, if you like. Yeah, I mean, there should be some level of management or around those apps. But the basic infrastructure they run on, which is the internet, the telecoms infrastructure, they're regulated.
Olubumi, in the UK, we had a situation where we had several riots that took place some years ago, and then the government had to compel Twitter to delete and to stop certain tweets because that was leading to a lot of riots. So I go to you again that, is it time for us to have regulation of this sector? And not only for protest, but you got a situation where some people use it for propaganda.
Yeah, see, the point is, like I always say, that governance is not rocket science. Governance is built on a working system. In the Western world, there's a working system. It's very, very easy for the government to say something, and anybody that goes against it, it's very, very easy to track the person down and bring the person to justice. The justice system is working. You understand? When you're in a country where the system is working, the justice system is working, when things go wrong, I can easily walk up to the cops and lay my complaint, and I'm very, very sure that yes, everything will be in order. In the case of Nigeria, those things are not working. If those things are not working, definitely one day you will expect the citizen to come out and cry, to come out and shout. If my sister is being raped, then I walk up to the nearest police station and reporting the case that, someone and the police officer is asking me, what was your sister wearing? Or the case even went to court, and whatever happens, they dismiss the case. And you think people will sit down and be happy? No, it doesn't work. See, the point is, governance is not rocket science. Things need to be. The moment those systems are not working, things will continue to be like this. Protests will continue to come up, and there's little or nothing the government will do to curb this. The justice system must work. There must be security. There must be infrastructure. The educational system. Look at the time of the EndSARS. It happened when almost all the universities were on strike. Let's assume the university were not on strike. 70% of the youth out there will probably be in school or be at work. Now, the government shot themselves at the leg because the school were on strike. There was no job for those guys to keep them engaged. And now,
Okay, but that's a narrative that you say that the government shot themselves in the foot, whereas they were being held hostage to the unions. And I see the unions as a bunch of self-centered persons that they're not interested in nice. No, it's true. They're not interested in the students. They're not interested. That's the truth. I'm telling you. They're not interested in Nigerians.
To some extent, you're right.
They're only interested in themselves. So let's get that straight. So
but it wasn't like that, Femi. In the beginning, it wasn't like that. I mean, university, business was a serious endeavor. In times past, something happened to and the decadence and the decay to the point that even the lecturers, they don't care anymore. We have to put the blame on the military, because the military don't value education. Absolutely,
they don't value radicals, and then they made sure that our education was set back. And even when we had the civilian government, we had a situation where you create a curriculum that takes away history. Do you understand? Even now, some of the problems that we're facing now is because our children have not been taught the history. It's not part of their curriculum. And also, so a lot of the history is being shoved under the carpet. We don't want to tell ourselves the truth. Some of the horrible truths must be spoken about. But Ambassador Spencer, let me say to you, many political groups and individuals, including prescribed terrorist groups, have become proficient in using social media as propaganda tools for publicity or to promote their nefarious activities, which leads to deaths of people, which some say has been attributed to these people making use of social media. And I want to understand that Olubumi is telling me that government shouldn't bother. Government should just leave it and let it happen. Is that really feasible?
Well, thank you for me again. The truth is, we have to face up with the facts. Since the advent of social media as we know it today, we can see that the world has really changed. That's when we started hearing things like fake news. There was no such thing as fake news before. Well, even if there were, it wasn't to this magnitude as we see it. You see groups and people, you know, just using social media. Anybody can turn up and just decide to push out some bad. I could make a story about you, Femi, right now. I'll push it out. And then thousands of people see it, and then suddenly some people will think it's true, some people will think it's not true. But the point is, I have the tool in my hands to push out something that's not right. So to some extent, we have to understand that yes, we don't want government to take us back to the dark ages where you don't have a voice. But at the same time, we still have to strike that balance and understand that there must be some sort of regulation to limit the reach. Even we saw it initially with Boko Haram, where they were using social media to propagate their own narrative. You know, they'll make their little videos. Even Osama bin Laden was using it at some point before he got captured.
Which is quite ironic when they're supposed to be telling us that we should abandon Western education.
Exactly. So even Osama bin Laden was using it as well to push out a certain narrative. They'll spread it all over social media. These days, WhatsApp, it goes viral immediately. And then they're using it to bring governments down. So if we're going to look at it from the perspective
in Sudan.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're going to look at it from the perspective of having a nation, you know, a sovereign nation who needs to protect its borders. And you know, these days, protection of borders is not just a physical thing anymore. We can see that with social media, you can bring down a country. You can actually organize things online without any physical people around and actually bring down nations. So people are now worried. Countries like China, for instance, in China, there's no Facebook. There's no YouTube. Yeah. In Saudi Arabia, you can't have those things. They're regulated. They'll give you their own. Nigeria could have its own Facebook. We have IT technology. We have people. We can have our own
infrastructure.
Pardon?
On what infrastructure?
On the same infrastructure that you're using to browse Facebook right now. So the point is, what I'm saying this is, in China, they managed to do theirs. They have their own version of everything. They have their own version of YouTube. But the reason why they've done it, yes, China is like a communist, you know, per se.
100 years. They celebrate 100 years yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. But they're leading the world, and they know that with too much freedom comes too much, you know, penetration, and too much. You just open yourself up to all manners of manipulation. We can see what happens in election time when it comes to elections. In the last election, there was issue of article. What did they talk about? There was some sort of a scam that went on. There were allegations
they were saying that the election results were loaded online and INEC is not releasing them, and that when they got the
So even in the United States, there was allegations by Donald Trump saying that Russia somehow hacked into their electoral. So we can see that social media needs to be managed somehow. It needs to be regulated. We need to start thinking about how to put things in place as a nation. Have legislation that will limit people like all these groups we have. I don't want to mention the names. All these separatist groups, right? Who are using it to put out fake news, to propagate lies, to tell you that.
Buhari is Yusuf from Sudan.
Exactly. All the time of make it using Photoshop.
You'd be surprised how many people actually took that in and believed it as fact. Prominent people. Anyway, ex-President Obasanjo actually said it live on TV in an interview that he was dumbfounded at the nature of people who were big people, I'm not serious people, actually believe in that. And he said, does he actually believe that in a nation like Nigeria, Buhari would be dead and nobody would know about it? Anyway, people believe that. But let's change the narrative now. Let's move away from the negativity. The role of internet and social media in publicizing NGOs and creating social infrastructure and helping the needy in building up members and attracting sponsors and brand awareness has become a very positive thing in Nigeria right now. So I want someone to answer to that. How productive is that in terms of creating awareness and bringing help from abroad to really change things on the ground?
Yes, I think it's working because I have a few people who are doing that. I have a friend who is trying to go into that space of trying to help people, the less privileged, using definitely tech platforms. So I think it's making an impact. Well, it's not, the penetration is not great yet, but I think it's taking off, and I think things are looking up because the people, the beneficiaries, of these sort of programs, they come around and it makes lots of difference, to their lives, and I think it's a good thing. If that's the only thing that social media is achieving, and I think it's worth it.
Yeah, I would also concur. I'd say that with platforms like such as ours, Primary Television, for instance, and so many other people, other online bloggers, I've seen, we're able to, at the click of a finger, reach out to a lot of people. Thousands of people who watch out. If you want to do fundraising, social media has been helpful in that aspect.
Yes,
Because someone could be in the United States, for instance, and decide to raise funds for someone in Nigeria somewhere in one local village, and it's just been a matter of sending out the awareness, and you see people raising the funds. We've seen it with even some of these Nollywood movie actors and actresses who get into one situation or another and they need to raise funds. Social media has been really, really helpful in getting, one, sending out the message of their plight, and then secondly, being able to raise funds quickly within a short time to galvanize. And it's happened, it even helps in families. I remember recently I lost my mother, and I know people easily gathered round and just sent me money from different places using WhatsApp. So on that little micro level, even it helps. So social media, definitely, its benefits at the moment outweighs the pros outweighs the cons at the moment. But having said that, I still believe that some level of regulation needs to be applied by the government.
Yes, and I want to bring up on that, because in every barrel of apples there's going to be a few bad ones, and there are many online NGOs in Nigeria that seek funding but are used as money spinners rather than actually doing any good for anybody. This is not exclusive to Nigeria alone, but this definitely also needs regulating and control. What is your view, Bumi? What do you think?
See, the point is, I'm always a believer of tri-sector partnership, where private, public, and civil society comes together for the development of the society or the nation at large. I've worked in the development stage for some years, and these days it's quite so sad that a lot of young adults just register NGO. I call them legal Yahoo. You don't have any corporate experience. You've not volunteered with any NGO before. You know nothing about this thing. Just because you have this knowledge that you can easily get grants from foreign institution, you just open an NGO and tell us, you are advocating for women in your community. You just take pictures somewhere, post it online, and you get fund. And the next thing you see is you buy car, you do wedding, I
don't blow.
And recently, there's this guy that was posted on Twitter. Was it this week? I've forgotten his name. Got 16 million naira for a foreign NGO, and it didn't implement any project. Of course, I'm going to blame also the donor, because there's something we call monitoring and evaluation when it comes to non-profits. Who are those doing the monitoring and evaluation? For me, for my business, when I started my business, I got a $35,000 from the Ministry of Trade and Finance, sponsored by the World Bank, the GEM project. There were monitoring and evaluation. The money was released in tranches, and they come to your sites, they come to your business, they audit your account to see what you're using the money to do. People don't just disburse money, and this day you see youth. As in, I can't count the number of, as in, for every 10 Nigerian graduates you see, 6 out of them have an NGO. They have a foundation. And they just come to, I'm doing this, come and support my foundation. For what? There are a lot of people doing this already. Go and volunteer with them. Go and partner with them. EIE is there. Go and partner with them. Don't reinvent the wheel again. There are a lot of people doing women advocate. There are a lot of people doing advocate for disabled people. So it's becoming a trend now in the country, not even in Nigeria alone. Even as a matter of fact, to the point of UN itself. Recently, I saw the EU is trying to pump in 11 million euros to was it Nasarawa or Bauchi for education purpose. I was like, what is this? Out of the 11 million euros, you will pay expatriates from Europe like 70% of that fund for consulting. You will fly them down to Abuja, let them stay in 5-star hotel. 70% of that fund, you spend it on consulting, which go back to the European country, and the remaining funds is being shared by the locals. And at the end of the day, there's nothing to write home that yes, we've done a project. So this cannot continue. See, a nation cannot continue to live on grants and financial aid. We need to start empowering ourselves within, which is not this idea of begging as a service. We need to it doesn't make sense.
Olubumi, I think we need to put this thing in context. Yes, I understand your viewpoint about people abusing exactly what charitable. We call it, and some other people call it charitable, organizations. There are cogent reasons why there should be such an NGO. And if you look at a country like Nigeria, over 200 million people, and about very like 90% or 70%, I don't know, living below the poverty line. The healthcare system is not there. Nobody has, there's no support, there's no NHS, there's no nothing. If there are people on humanitarian ground that are coming around to help, and I think it's an advantage. So we cannot actually, because of the bad eggs, like Femi said, just rubbish everything. We have to give that a chance, and well, unfortunately, a few people abuse it. Maybe what's going to happen is maybe when it comes to, like Nigeria, maybe they should do more due diligence. But by the very nature of it, how it works, it's just like, okay, we have this case, then, out of our, make of kindness, we're supporting it.
Yeah, I do agree with Olubumi, because there's two Olus here. Olumi. So I do agree with you, because
I'm actually Olufemi.
Yeah, there's three Olus here. So the truth is, I agree with you, because people are taking advantage of this now, this space, because they know that all they have to do, like I said, how easy it is. You reach out, you feign, like suddenly you're such a good person, you're a Samaritan, you want to help, but people are using it now to enrich themselves. You've seen it, even with so-called people who are even going into different things, with separatist people who are reaching out to, because so many of them, I know so many of them online who are even building hospitals, who are doing various things. But when you go down to the crux of it, it's been, there's so much allegations of them using it to, fund their lavish lifestyles and all of that. So, but it's difficult to really pin them down. So at the moment, as we know, there's a lot of poverty in Nigeria, and there's a lot of unemployment in Nigeria. So this is another way where you can say social media is really helping people get them out of hardship. Someone typed out also a comment saying it's Yahoo. Yeah, yes, it is a Yahoo, but people are actually using it to survive, and at the same time reaching out and touching life.
The truth is,
I want to touch. Let me touch on that. Those Yahoos. We must not forget the role of the Yahoo boys and girls as the avenue for phishing and notorious frauds. This has kind of created a stereotype of Nigeria being, a fraud capital of the world. You've got characters like Hush Puppy, as it were, that have made this a lucrative, and the get-rich syndrome that you talked about, Olubumi. These precarious legal activities, they're very prevalent. And in fact, that was something that led to the End SARS thing, where all the police were always harassing guys with laptops, because essentially they knew a lot of them were actually engaged in this business, and they saw it as a quick way to them to also cash in on that as well. What is the rate of Yahoo boys and all that kind of stuff? Has that kind of simmered down? I know EFCC has got special teams to address that, and that recently in the press we've seen so many of them being arrested. What do you say to that?
Yeah, for the Yahoo boys, I think it's there's no two way about it. Crime is crime, fraud is fraud. So it's in fact, at some point, people started crying out during EndSARS that this EndSARS protest, it's not for you guys, the Yahoo guys. So don't think we are fighting for you. We are not fighting for you. You are a thief. As in, a thief is a thief. But because I had the opportunity to intern with the special fraud unit of the Nigerian police when I did forensic. So I really understood what these guys are passing through. Imagine you as a young Nigerian, you want to do business with somebody outside the shore of Nigeria online, and the first thing they ask you, where are you from? And you're like, oh, I'm Nigerian. They just tell you bye, just because you say you are a Nigerian. You want to travel, like the moment they see your green passport, they just wave you by the side, like, and check and recheck and recheck and recheck, just because you are a Nigerian. At a point, even to date, like somebody outside Nigeria, outside the shore of Nigeria, the moment they say that you're a Nigerian, they're like, no. Even to get a house, as in to rent a house in Kenya, I went to Kenya 2018. At the airport, the immigration was harassing me. Like, the immigration officer was harassing me. What are you doing in our country? Are you sure you're not here to just deceive our girls? And because that's the norm. They believe when they make money, they can go to all these East African countries and spend money and it's giving the nation a very bad name. A very, very bad name. So it's there's no two way about it. I think the EFCC are doing a good job, like tracking them down and working with Interpol, working with other international police to track these guys down. It's a different ball game aside from the what's it called, the NGO. Of course, there are some guys who register like a whole NGO, and they are not doing anything. They are actually doing fraud, and that is why I always tell like donors trying to come into Nigeria, don't just come and say, oh, I want to set up as a I want to set up a charitable organization in Nigeria to help people. No, they are established organizations doing that right now. CC Hub, they are partnering with startups. That is what they call private partnership organization. Like you partner with those who are already in the system. You don't know Nigeria better than us. So when you're coming to Nigeria, partner with those guys who are already in the system. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of entrepreneurs, there are a lot of innovators trying to innovate around the problem of Nigeria every day. And these guys, they have a circle, they have like what is called like a club, yeah, where you can actually find these people. You understand? Go there, let them pitch their ideas, invest in them. See, that's why I said these days we should go beyond charitable organization. In fact, as a matter of fact, I call all these charitable organization NGO that everybody's for profit. Everybody is in it for profit. There is no non-profit anyway. We should stop deceiving ourselves. The UN, we see as a matter of fact, the chairman of the anti-corruption board in African Union resigned based on corruption. If a chairman on anti-corruption resign based on corruption in African Union, it's a different ballgame entirely. Everybody is in for profit. The what's it called? This Black Lives Matter. The founder at a point we were reading scandal about the person buying houses and all sorts. Nobody is in for like, I want to help. Nobody's helping who. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody has like an hidden agenda or an intention behind what they are doing. If China is coming to say, I want to give Nigeria money to boost the economy, they are not coming to give you for free. There are deals behind it.
Okay, let me because we're going to go to current affairs shortly, but I want to do the last two questions. So online outsourcing services and call centers, these are an area that can develop in Nigeria. However, local governments and state governments and of course the civil servants, they seem reluctant to take advantage of these tools that will assist them with delivering efficient service and at less cost and lower overheads. What is our general view on this? Who wants to speak to this?
Yes, call centers.
Outsourcing.
And outsourcing.
Yeah.
And outsourcing depends on where you are outsourcing to. In a country like Nigeria, I don't think. I mean, who are you outsourcing to? Because there are a lot of people.
What I'm suggesting to you is that so instead of government taking on the burden of delivering all these services like data management, data capture, and all that, they can outsource it to the youth and who set up companies like Olubumi, several of them, and they can create the jobs to do the job on the behalf of government. So
Absolutely.
that kind of, yeah, that sort of thing. We talk about trying to have PPP. We're talking about concessioning. We're trying to. The problem we find in Nigeria is that the ease of doing business is constrained. The wheels of government are so slow, so they need to take advantage of these online services and IT facilities, if you like. That's why I say outsourcing and other data capture and all the rest of it, and other things to try and change the status quo.
Yes, I agree with you. That they should do that because they try to do it. The national statistics. The parastatal of government, and they are not really capturing everything. Number one, they don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the technical know-how about to do that. Data analytics. Big data analytics. Is a thriving area of IT now, and like you said, it's an area the government should look into to actually see how they can actually tap or deploy the power of big data to be able to do things. Yes, definitely, I agree with you. The government should actually look for companies that are people doing that, that are tech companies doing that, that they have the tools, they have the expertise, they have the technical know-how that they can outsource to help with do data management, data gathering, and processing, and like you said, to call center that people can call into to have information, but you don't really have to have a call center. Nobody's interested in somebody over the phone doing that. That should be, like Gov.uk, for example, where you go and you get any information about anything, including even to tax a car. We need to get to that level where we have enough data, big data, and we have to consolidate it so that we have one single source of truth. And it's very, very important. And if that can be managed, the government cannot do it on itself. Like the Gov.co, it's not as if it's not being managed by the government. There are people who are managing it. And I'm sure, if enough attention, is paid to that, and we can do something, because like there are lots of young people, into this sort of thing, like Olubumi said, very, very smart and clever guys, that they can use, support them, give them the support. They will come out with fantastic innovation to be able to do that. So I think it's a very, very good area that should be considered. And, data monetization as well, because if we have this sort of things, people will come, foreign, investors that want to come, they ask for, the first thing is they ask for data. Give us data about this, about that. When they have it and it's credible and it's dependable, they can trust it, then they can afford to bring their money. And when they bring their money, there will be employment, the standard of living of people, will improve. So yeah, I agree, it's a very good area to actually concentrate on that.
Good. The last question I'm wondering, I just wanted to say that with that point that you just said there, that of course now the monetization of data, as you said, you look at the problems that we had with the NIN situation now, that everyone is up in arms about that. So here we are, we want to create a single source of information, single database, and people are complaining. They don't want to do it. They don't want to register their SIMs, so that they could all have NIN numbers. So this is the problem. Nigeria's always they know what's good and what's right, but they're always challenging it. Now, the other thing that I wanted to talk about with that is that the role of tax. Where does tax come in all this sort of thing? This largely formal online sector, which is almost informal in Nigeria. You engage in online trading, Bumi, for example. Are your clients' tax affairs, are they managed properly? Do they have their TIN numbers and all the rest of it? Do they pay capital gains tax on their gains, for example? Is it taken out at source? Is FIRS involved? What is your take on that? Because if we're not even doing this at this early stage, like you said, the infrastructure won't be there later on, and then we're going to be playing catch up.
Yeah, you're very correct. Like I always tell people that, as a matter of fact, in Nigeria we pay one of the lowest tax in the world, to be sincere. But the problem is we pay it like we pay 5% here, 7 year. Just aggregate everything into one. Let's know. Oh, Nigeria is paying XY% tax on personal income tax. Instead of paying 713, you come here, you tell us, so for every transaction you do, there's a tax here. You do come here, tell us for every this you do, there's a tax here. It doesn't work that way. Recently, Kigali, Rwanda, as one of the best tax revenue in Africa, as in you can't escape it. The moment you have a running business, or you have like an income, you can't escape it. And this is the sole income they use in running the economy.
What's the population of Rwanda?
Rwanda is just 11 million.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is that if states aren't doing it, the problem we always do in Nigeria is we look at the big government scenario, whereas we should focus on that same system
on the local level,
on a local level, on a local government level, on a state government level, and then we can have results. So look, I want us to go on a break if we can, and then we're going to come back hopefully to do some current affairs, because there's a lot of current affairs issues that are happening now, and I want everyone to stay for that. We want to come back. I want to say enough is enough. Esorosoke.
When it comes to choosing the right product for my skin, it's all about the ingredients for me. Niger skincare products are authentic, fresh, and best of all, completely organic. I love the Motherland Moisturizer. It's designed to smooth and soak in the skin without ever feeling greasy, and their Jade Roller has literally become a part of my self-care routine. Visit NigerSkincare.com today and receive 20% off your first order. For beauty.
Hi guys, my name is Yabo, and I am the founder of Masasi B. If you're looking for unique African-inspired clothing and accessories, please check out my brand. All details are at the end of this video. Feel free to get in touch. Thank you.
Curl pattern has just bounced back. Look at that. Without any product in the hair at all.
When you use Sherma Haven's natural hair care product line, your hair flourishes and becomes the main attraction.
For me, it's a way of building the next generation of Nigerian leaders who are going to put our country straight on the proper path of progress and a positive future.
Okay, for me, it's a platform that will help to build upon what we already have in our youths in Nigeria and Africa. We're trying to instill in them values that you'll find in a leader. We're trying to inspire them to take up these leadership positions. We're trying to empower them with the skills and knowledge that they'll need to pursue leadership positions. Honestly, it was out of frustration. There's a saying that goes that when you feel passionate about something, that's probably your calling in life. For me, I was frustrated with the lack of in my country, Nigeria. I was frustrated with the lack of transparency, lack of accountability, lack of connection between our leaders and the.
Good evening and welcome back to the show. Enough is enough, Esorosoke. We've just been talking about the impact of social media and IT on our youth and the economy. It was quite a fruitful discussion, and I want to thank all my guests who are still with me to discuss current affairs. Everybody, it's been a very eventful week this week, and yesterday topped it all with the DSS raid on Sunday Igbohu's Ibadan residence, which some see as a balancing act in the south, following the Nnamdi Kanu spectacular recapture. What are your thoughts? A thief is a thief, someone said today. So what is the difference between an AK-47 wielding Hausa Fulani herdsman and Igbohu and his armed cohorts? Who wants to start? Let me give you, Muiwa, you go for it. Go on, Muiwa. Come on.
Well, to be honest with you, I mean, this might be a bit controversial, because I have my very strong opinion about this.
Go for it.
I don't think it's fair. I think it's one-sided. I mean, it's a known fact what the Fulani headsmen are doing. They carry it. We see it on picture. You see, they hang it on the shoulder all the time, and nobody stops them. Nobody questions them. Do you have a license? No. So they can have AK-47, but Sunday Igboho cannot have AK-47. It's lopsided, and it's not fair. So it's so obvious that there are vested interest somewhere, and which we need to address.
Let's go take. Go ahead. Who wants to come in?
Sorry, I'd like to say something to that. We have to obviously at this point devolve ourselves of sentiment here. Yeah, that's the fact. We've seen over the past, I'll say, 6 months in Nigeria, there's been instability. I recently came up from Nigeria myself. I was there for 6 months. And I can tell you on ground, especially with what happened in the Southeast, you notice that there was this gradual dissension into chaos. In the Southeast, as we speak right now, there's no police on the roads. No police. Can you imagine that? In Lagos, there's police and everything. In the Southeast, across all the 5 states of Ireland, there's no police. Yes, so you can actually do what you want at the moment. And this is down to something I'll put it down to the kind of things that happened after the EndSARS protest, where police became the target and everything, and people were fueling that target. So the capture of some of these people, like for instance, the capture of Nnamdi Kanu, in a way, should see these normalcy start returning. Because now, yes, on the one hand, we understand people in the Southeast all understand the issue of wanting self-determination as a right and all of that. But when you now start attacking the state, you're attacking the police, you're attacking military. In Imo State, for instance, 74 policemen were killed. 34 or 37 or so soldiers were killed. And you're going to tell me it's unfair? It's unfair. Yes, there's been the issue, age-long issue of the Mayor Tiala, but we're also seeing Nigeria fighting on one hand, Boko Haram. So, and we can't let this thing keep on descending. We're going to have, if we're not careful, we're going to have a war in the Northeast, war in the Southeast, war in the Southwest. So it needs to come to a point.
Don't forget the middle belt. Don't forget North Central and Plateau and Benue and Kaduna.
Precisely. So you can't start saying it's about this and stuff like that. When Boko Haram started, people complained as well. When that started, people were saying, you're killing our people, this and that. But in the end, they can see what it turned out to be. It turned out to be a full-fledged insurgency in that area. So now we need to start saying to ourselves, what do we want? Do we want to have a nation? Do we want to have Nigeria as a country? If we do, then we need to start understanding that, look, it's time to call a spade a spade. It's time to identify these people who are causing trouble and let them face the law. So that's what I'm going to say. Let's not put sentiments ahead. Let's look at the facts. Yes, anyway, if we see issues with Mietela or the herdsmen doing this, yes, by all means, I expect the balance to happen as well. We expect the military or the DSS to be zooming in on those ones who are causing mayhem in the North as well. But we cannot now say because of that you're not seeing anything at the moment. We need to let these people go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
that shouldn't be.
Let me bring Olubunmi in. We'll come back. We've got other things to talk. So look, Olubunmi, what do you think of the British government's meddlesome interference on matters bordering on our national security by giving worldwide audience in an interview of Sunday Igboho on UK's mouthpiece, BBC Pidgin? Do you think that it's right for the British government to get involved in our internal security matters?
You say the point still lies back to us Nigerians. The moment we don't tidy up our house, these are what we continue to experience. And this is what I talked about as begging as a service. When you go around begging, you lose your own identity. People can just come to you and talk to you anyhow, and there's nothing you can do about it. See, to some extent, there are things that the Western world shouldn't interfere with. I could remember vividly during the genocide of Rwanda, after killing like 1 million men, and the United Nations International Court of Justice is saying, oh, they want to prosecute all the people that has hand in that genocide. The Rwandese government told them, don't worry, we'll handle things ourselves. we'll solve this thing in our own way. We've already lost a lot of people already. Then if you take these guys there also, you kill them, then what's the hope of the average one is? So let us solve this thing locally. And they were able to do this perfectly. Same thing in Nigeria. If we are able to deal with issues locally, we are able to come up with a good justice system that, the Boko Haram is terrorizing the nation, and we are able to bring those Boko Haram to justice. Nobody will come out and say, "Oh, it's on." Now we see everything as a tribal issue in Nigeria. We see everything as a religious issue. That's the two things that is bringing down this nation: tribalism and religion. It's really making it difficult for this country to work. And if we really want this country to work, we need to look beyond tribe. We need to look beyond religion. If somebody from a tribe is doing wrong, I should be able to speak up. If somebody from a religion is doing wrong, I should be able to speak up. I should not keep mute and wait until it happens to the next person. And that is what has led us to this situation right now. We need to stop chasing the shadow. We need to address the real issue.
Okay. Let me bring Olumuyiwa back, because I know you didn't finish your thing. The point that I believe Spencer's saying, and I'm going to be saying at the end of the day, is that criminality is criminality. You know, we were told that DSS were tipped off that he was carrying weapons, concealing weapons, or whatever you want to, however you want to do it. They went to the house. They notified him who they were, and the DSS were then met with a barrage of shots. You understand? So they had no choice but to return fire and to enter into the premises. Sunday Igboho, who has been invited to the DSS previously to most probably have questionings about these very things, he refused their invitation. I know some people say, what about the Meti Allah? What about the this and what about the that? I say that the difference between them is that Meti Allah, I mean, they're the Cattle Herders Association. But herdsmen that you talked about, AK-47 wielding herdsmen, they are desperate individuals all over the place. They're not a single entity. Igbo is a single person, and Nnamdi Kanu is a single person. When they've been given this information, they've got to act, surely.
Yes, absolutely they should act, but the point is there shouldn't be one rule for them and one rule for the other one. You know, there should be a level playing field. You should not have arms if you're not licensed to it, period. Whether you are Fulani headsman, whether you are Sunday Igboho, whether you are anybody, you know, it should be the same thing, because in broad daylight and the so-called Fulani headsmen, you know, are hanging, you know, AK-47 on their shoulders, and nobody is arresting them, nobody is stopping them, you know, is...
but the president gave an order for anyone wielding AK-47 to be killed. Obviously, the police can't be in every place at every single time. And at the end of the day, the point of the thing is, do you know how many bandits are being killed daily? Okay, we hear of it every day. They've bombed this place. They've shown you pictorial evidence. Do you know how many Boko Harams are getting killed every single day? I mean, the idea that they're not killing them, this is a fallacy. And the fact that it's happening in the north, in fact, the most people who are dying from criminality and banditry and terrorism are actually people from the north. Over 1.8 million people have been displaced. How many people have been displaced in the south, Muyiwa?
Well, I mean, I hope that we won't have that kind of situation in the Southwest, because it's not a pleasant experience, to be honest with you. Because if I believe the issue in the Northeast, for example, the government was like a cynical about it. They didn't heat the iron when it was hot. They allowed the problem to fester, because they were sweeping under the carpet. Oh, it's nothing. It's, you know, like Olubunmi said, maybe there was an element of religion there, okay, because, you know, camaraderie of we belong to the same tribe, you know. So nobody took them serious until they were influenced by external forces, and it became something that they started getting funding, you know, from terrorist organizations around the world. And they emboldened them to say, you know what, you can do this thing. And, you know, it is what it is now, you know, so the rest is history. So if they had done the right thing from the beginning to nip it in the bud, I believe we will not sit there and be having this conversation.
Okay. All right. So I don't want to dwell too much on them, but if we go to the beginning of the situation, which was on a different dispensation, wasn't under the Buhari regime, completely different ball game. Government has spent trillions of naira in the war against Boko Haram. So the narrative that government is hardly doing anything is beyond reality. It's not reality. How many soldiers are dying on a daily basis? Our brave soldiers, JTF officials, policemen dying not only in the north, in Benue State, in Taraba, in Zamfara. They're dying almost on a daily basis. But yet the narrative out there is that government is not doing anything. Is this, Bumi, is this the reality?
The point is, it's people are going to complain in the sense that it's easy to say, oh, government has actually pumped out X, Y, Z of money to fight Boko Haram. But is this money going to the right place? That's the real word. Because this is the same issue the NGO space are facing. The money, it's been disbursed, but is it getting to the end user? The money the government is disbursing, is it really getting to the foot soldier that are fighting this war? The equipment they needed to fight this war, are they really getting the equipment they actually said, oh, this is what we want? So it's easier for the government to say, I will spend this. But the real show on ground, it's not visible to anybody. It's just like saying, oh, I bought the shirt for like £1,000. It's questionable. Like, how can there are things that are questionable, but it's very, they can come up and tell us if they spend numbers of XYZ amounts, spend this, spend that, but the soldiers come live to complain that they don't have the right ammunition to fight these guys. Anytime they plan an attack, before they know it.
But that was an old narrative, because I've actually seen newer, more modern narratives where the soldiers are not saying that. They're saying that they've been happy and they're taking the fight to Boko Haram, they're taking the fight to ISWAP. Then so many
and now we are seeing results, right?
Yeah, I think that the media narrative from government has been found lacking. But let's move on to another topic now.
Sorry, Fred, I wanted to say something quickly. Please,
no, because of time, you can come back to that. You can come to that. Let me just move on because of time. Yeah. So there's you can even answer this one. There's a large swell of vocal separatist agitators in the diaspora, especially in the UK where we are, and the United States. These are countries that would not tolerate other countries harboring their fugitives or wanted terrorists, harming their national interest and national security. How is it that the voice for separatist agitation and the funding of this is largely coming from the diaspora? What do you think is the reason for this?
Well, yeah, like you said, Femi, we have a large number of people outside the country who ultimately want to see change in their country. In the case of the Southeast, for instance, I know there's this narrative of the Southeast being marginalized and all that. So and most of them left Nigeria in the quest of a better life, for greener pastures and all that. Who you call economic migrants. So they always have one ear on what's going on in Nigeria, and to them, all they can see is anything that would change what's happening in Nigeria, they're all for it. And that's why you see most of them getting behind whoever's turning up. Sunday Igboho, for instance, Nnamdi Kanu, people like that. They have a lot of people from India who are funding them. Because they feel what's going on at the moment is not really, Nigeria is not going to change. We're having bad corruption. Because the Olubumi is what you're alluding to is corruption in the system. That's the main problem, yeah? But we still have we're still seeing people who are away from the country wanting to bring about this change, and the only way they know how they can do it is getting behind someone who's being vocal, who's standing up to the government, and that's what we're saying. So what we're saying is, and most of them are away in foreign countries, and you're talking about the foreign countries, turning a blind eye to it. They're going to turn a blind eye because really, the right to self-determination is a right. You can't stop people who want to agitate for their own freedom from agitating. Now, it becomes another issue where you're having people funding terrorists, for instance. That's a different ballgame altogether. But what we're seeing in Nigeria so far hasn't been people funding terrorists per se. We're seeing people funding those who are able to stand up to the government of the day to say, look, we want change. Some of them might not be going about it the right way, but those in diaspora are saying this as the only way they can bring about change. And that's why you're seeing most of them funding it. In the case of IPOB, for instance, there's a whole lot of people outside the country who are really funding them. And they're not funding them to carry arms. They're funding them for them to be able to, use the instrumentalities they have to try and bring about change. And that's what we're saying.
Yeah, but you say they're not funding them to carry arms, but we've seen videos of the ECN in their uniforms marching around the place, and of course their armed stash is somewhere else. So it doesn't mean because you see them on the streets or in the video without arms that their arms aren't elsewhere. Seen also Sunday Bo, who's claiming he's not armed. He's a freedom fighter fighting for Dua Republic, yet his house was full of arms, and I'm sure there's other arms elsewhere. So this kind of thing that they're not armed, I think we should take with a pinch of salt. Let me add on to this question. The Attorney General of the Federation also this week announced that government intercepted and rearrested and has now arraigned self-proclaimed IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu. There are suggestions there that he was abducted in a third country. What are your thoughts?
Well, can I say, that's what I wanted to talk about before. Right? I must say, we got to be honest, we must say ourselves. This is one area where I would say I was really impressed. I'll have to say it was a shock to everyone in Nigeria. That's such a thing. That news was like a surprise to everyone. And you must say it was one of the most professional jobs they delivered, whereby they went out, they've been trailing him for many years now, obviously, and they finally got him. It was like the Osama bin Laden moment, where suddenly we caught him, we got him. So we have to give credit sometimes to some of our professionals. This was a professional job. In the case of Sunday Boho as well, we've seen that they were right in what they did. They might have gone about it, it was unfortunate people losing their lives at that. But we've seen that
they bungled it.
Well, it wasn't really bungled because they found the stash of arms they wanted. They were looking for. So all I'm saying is,
how did he escape?
Well, he escaped. He's at large, and that's where the corruption bit comes in again. So obviously, someone who has obviously tipped him off for him to leave. So, but what we're saying is,
you never know. You can't be sure of that.
Possibly, yeah.
I've got another theory. I've got another theory. You don't want to hear my theory? I'll tell you what the theory is. You know a bit, Spencer. You can speak Yoruba. He's Amotekun, remember? So he put on his Amotekun outfit, and he's a big cat. He managed to escape. That's what happened, man. Okay. Anyway, go on, carry on.
Yeah, so what we're saying is, it was a professional job, and obviously, when it hasn't gone down well with those who are agitating for separation. They're seeing it as obviously like a the other Olu said, it's seen as being targeting someone from the Southeast, whereas there are other people. But we must say that it's come to a point where these kind of things need to start happening. We cannot let the country descend or go down. Now, for me, what I want to see now, really, for me, is for the justice to be seen to be done. We want to see a transparent case, trial. We don't want it to be muddled up with controversy again. Yeah, fair trial, free and fair, and transparent trial. Give him fair hearing. Let him, whoever is caught, even if Sunday was caught tomorrow, give an opportunity to defend himself totally. So this is what I'm yearning for. Because last time in 2015, when Nnamdi Kanu was arrested, in my mind, I think they bungled it. They did a lot of stuff that wasn't really right. But now they have an opportunity to make amends. Arraign him. Don't let anything happen to him. Keep him there. And obviously, if he's found guilty, then so be it. If he's not found guilty, then you have to release him. This is it. So for me, this is the kind of professionalism we want. And we need to encourage the security services of Nigeria.
Well, you see,
I want to bring Muyiwa back into it. Muyiwa, I want to bring you back. Muyiwa, I want to bring you back into it, but I want to take this angle. The US and the UK, they assassinate terrorist suspects, which the government claims that Nnamdi Kanu is a terrorist suspect, by remote controlled drones. And they conduct illegal renditions of its own citizens in third countries. You know this. Whilst maintaining unconvicted enemy combatants and terrorist suspects without trial, subjecting them to torture in Guantanamo Bay against the rule of law, and they surely aren't. Why should they be trying to lecture at Nigeria?
Oh, that's a very good question.
How do I answer this? Because, well, they do what they do in some other countries, and they will tell you that it's against their national security and their interests, and their allies, and maybe stopping them in the track. To be honest, I don't have the full details about how to do it, but I mean, for my country, one thing is very sure. We should actually prove that we can manage our own affairs. Otherwise, people will keep telling us what to do. And it's not their fault, because anything that happens, we run to them, cap in hand, and they have every reason to tell us what to do. But if we show great to know that we are managing, our affairs right, they will hesitate to actually want to put mouth into our, private affairs. They can advise, but they won't like to come around as if, this is what you have to do. You don't know how to do it. You have to do it our own way or nothing. So, we have to look inwards and see how we can actually show and display that, yes, we can handle our own internet affairs correctly.
But the point I'm just trying to make is that some people, especially in Nigeria, say this is an egregious kind of thing that government is doing, when the governments that they're saying that we should emulate do far worse things than that. We saw the assassination of the general from Iran in Iraq in Iraq the other day. I can't remember his name.
Iran, yeah. In Iran.
Yeah, that he was assassinated after he came. Yeah, when he came out of the airport, he was assassinated in Iraq, actually, not in Iran.
Yeah, it was assassinated right from Iran. Yes,
we've seen that. We saw the elimination of Osama bin Laden, and as I said, there's so many people that have been arrested on this extraordinary rendition. Is it any different to what they did with Nnamdi Kanu?
Well, if you have to look at comparing apple with apple. Sorry, let me just add this. Sorry, before you go to
go on. Yeah.
They have not done out to the national. All those people, they are, they're not U.S. national, UK national. And
it seems like you're not aware of the facts. There's a British citizen that was in Guantanamo Bay that was on extraordinary rendition. Yes, yeah, they are British citizens. They have been, and American citizens. Yes, and in fact, British citizens have been eliminated, executed as well by drone
for obvious reason, like
alleged terrorists. Yeah.
No, it's not alleged, because he came on video. Jihadi John came on video and did exactly what he did, and he was even bragging about it.
So that's okay. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Well, I would say yes, it is. To be honest with you, I think it is okay.
All right.
Femi, I'd like to say something along those lines, though, to counter it. The truth is, we can't emulate everything from the West, right? You're pointing out what they're doing wrong and saying that they're doing it, so we must do it. Then that's wrong. Even in the West,
no, I'm not saying that. Hold on. I'm not saying because they're doing it, we shouldn't do it. What I'm suggesting to you is that we didn't go as far to eliminate and execute, which could have been what could have happened.
Yeah, but given the opportunity, we probably might go that far. So that's why we need to start shouting out murder, blue murder, when we see it happening. In the West itself, people have stood up and said, look, we're not in support of it. This is wrong. There's also the cry and clamor out there to say what they're doing is wrong. Even I remember Obama said he was going to shut it down and all that. Remember? Now, he recognized that it wasn't really a good thing to have as a nation, as a Western country. So we can't keep on looking at the wrongs of the West and saying, oh, if they're doing that, how come you're criticizing us for doing what we're doing? We need to do what's right at all times, despite or regardless of whatever anyone else is doing. So for me, we need to stick to what's right. We need to stick to the rule of law. We need to make sure that we're giving people fair trials. We make sure we give them their human rights and all of that. Forget about what the West is doing. We know they're not perfect themselves. We all know that. So we can't keep on looking at them and saying, now, if they're doing it, so why are you criticizing us? We need to do what's right at all times.
Okay, let me bring Olubunmi into this one. The government, the National Assembly, have finally done something positive. They've passed the PIB bill to incentivize investment in the oil and gas sector, which will not happen overnight, as investors will still have to take considerations. But this is a good thing for Nigeria, isn't it? We had 16 years of mediocre PDP. They couldn't do this PIB bill. 6 years of President Muhammad Buhari, I hope he's going to accent it, and we've finally got this bill. What do you say? Is it not good news for the oil sector?
Yeah, sincerely speaking, you see, when I hear news like this, sincerely speaking, it's always a good news at the beginning, until we have people who wants to take advantage of the loophole of the bill. All policies at the beginning are always very, very good and for the development of the country. But you just find out that somehow you just see people come up with some funny attitude to just take advantage of the system. But right now, with this bill, sincerely speaking, I'm happy with it. At least it's gonna bring like different innovation within the oil and gas industry. We have brilliant guys doing fantastic jobs in the oil and gas industry. At least I have a couple of guys trying to do like telemetry and all kind of different innovation within the oil and gas industry. With this kind of bill, it actually motivates both local and foreign investors to come in and do something in the country. But the moment some guys start playing funny, I just believe the National Assembly will like monitor this bill closely to ensure that it goes on smoothly and there's no body trying to take advantage of the system, because that's where the problem always comes from. Because every policy we've seen in Nigeria are always good at the start, but when it comes to the later end, the same people who implemented this policy, who passed this bill, are the same set of people that will go back and get all the contracts, you understand, and pay the subcontract it to another contractor, probably at 30% of what he got. And at the end of the day,
okay, you seem to be very pessimistic with all these things. So, has anyone else got anything to say? I want to have something.
Actually, from my point of view, I think it's a good one. I think it's a good one, to be honest with you. But what is lacking is a strategy. One thing is to have a policy. Another thing is to have the strategy, and that's what they have failed to do. What are the strategy? What is the structure? Of how these things will happen. And I'm here to see that. I don't know if you have, because if you just roll out policy, if you roll out policy and you have not rolled out the strategy, let it be clear from the beginning that this is the direction this is going to take. Because at the end of the day, they have rolled out the policy and it might be subject to interpretation by the people that want to execute the policy. So there has to be the clarity of strategy, how they're going to, implement the policy.
Yeah, Femi, what I would say is
I do understand. I'm going to let you come in. I do understand what you're saying, but just to add that, without the basic groundwork and the framework, nothing is going to happen. And 20-something years, we've been fighting around it, we've had it. So it's a start. The strategy can follow. Go on, Spencer.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is that obviously the PIB bill has been one that we've yearned for, because what it does is it's gonna revolutionize that industry. It's gonna change the industry from what I would know. People from all these issue of people from the north coming down and owning oil wells and all of that. I think that's what I was gonna say. I don't know so far what the details are exactly in the bill. I haven't read it, I haven't seen it, so I can't tell. But I know years ago when I used to look at it, it talked about regulation of the industry. It talked about having small refineries. It talked about even having funding and maintenance of our refineries that we have at the moment and stuff like that. Having the industry really well managed and having it brought up to scratch to world economies that have such regulation. So for me, I think it's a good start, and I know it's definitely going to make a change. It's just like having what we had in the electoral system, where suddenly we're talking about bringing in the electronic voting and all that, and all these little electronic things that Goodluck Jonathan brought in. That made a difference in the electoral process. So we must commend it.
Yes, it's commendable, but at the end of the day... Sorry, go on. Go on, Femi.
Yeah. No, let me come, because of time, let me move to another topic because of time. This is another week, another decampment. Zamfara governor Matawale from PDP has moved to APC, and now the PDP are threatening to go to court. Is this not double standards from them, having been beneficiaries of Obaseki's decampment from the APC to PDP? Yeah. This political prostitution all over the place. What's going on? Anybody speak to me?
Well, sincerely speaking, I don't know the rules guiding the PDP membership. I don't know if there's a new constitution that says if you decamp, you are liable to this and this and that. If there is, fine, they can go to court. But the truth of the matter is, all these guys are the same. PDP, APC, they are all the same people. So the fact that you are decamping to, you've seen people decamp from APC to PDP and nothing happened. PDP decamp from APC and nothing happened. So why the noise of I want to go to court? So it's except probably there's a new development in the party that states that when you decamp, then there's this and this punishment for you. Aside that, there's no case, because I'm free, as in I have the legal right to choose the party I want to belong to, and at the same time I have the legal right to say, okay, I don't want to belong to this party anymore.
Yes, absolutely, because
So,
in our constitution,
all of it is Shakara.
It's
yeah,
Shakara
exactly.
now.
Because in our constitution there is freedom of association. It's a fundamental human right. So if they decide to calm down, there shouldn't be any rule stopping them. But what we should look at is, what is the motivation? Why do they want to do it? Is it constructive?
2023,
exactly. So you can look at it. It's not because of any progressive idea. It's for it's for personal gratification.
But I've been told by people in the know in Zamfara that they don't think that he's going to even win the second ticket. He's most probably going to the second term ticket. He's most probably going to be another Ambody. That's what I've been heard. But let's wait and see. Look, I want to see. Olubumi said that. Yeah, go on.
Can I say something quickly? Yeah, all I wanted to say is that we've seen that. Obviously, you can see what it is. The success it breeds. Obviously, people have many friends. With the APC, Buhari winning the second tenor, we've seen the Cross River State join the APC. We've seen Governor Cross River State. We've seen the Governor of Ebonyi State join the APC. Now
I don't know who is left, actually. Who's left to PDP?
Exactly.
I don't know who is left. Maybe
Everyone's looking at what's going to happen in 2023.
Yeah, but
and they're saying to themselves, they might as well realign to the center. And some of them who are leaving are looking at their exit strategy of, if I leave, where suits me best? I want to go to the Senate. How do I get the help? And they're saying that, if I can have the federal might in terms of when it comes to elections, then I might be able to retain power. So the truth is, what you're saying is, like Olubumi said, they're all the same, APC, PDP. In Nigeria, there's no ideology guiding all these things. It's just a platform for you to use to get to where you want to be. It's
get to power. I want to align with you and Olubumi by saying that some say we are a one-party system with one party called APCD. Yeah, so we're descending. So are we descending, as some might think we are ascending to a one-party state? I don't know. We'll see what happens in 2023. The next topic is CBN has revealed that our external reserves are down by a whopping $905 million by the end of June, from 35.4 billion in January this year to now 33.32 billion. Government cannot sustain the control of the value of its currency. It can't also continue to subsidize fuel and in a similar measure subsidize epileptic electricity and hope to build the much needed infrastructure and combat insecurity. Money just keeps hemorrhaging out of the system, even before the stealing starts. This is clearly unsustainable. Who wants to answer this one?
Yes, I think I will go first. I mean, by the way the government acts, it's a disaster waiting to happen. And we cannot afford to be a consumer country and expect things to change. It's not going to happen. If we want to start, changing things, then we have to be producing. It's As simple as that. How can an oil producing country be importing refined product? I mean, who does that? It just doesn't make sense. So I mean, to turn things around, we have to end this our consumerism and try to be, to be producing. And we need to create the enabling environment for that to happen. Power. You cannot do anything as this time managed without power. So I don't know why it's so difficult, to solve this power problem once and for all. I just don't know. The technology is there, the wherewithal is there. We have the money, to do it. Why not just do it so that we start fresh and we start building?
We don't have the money.
We are broke.
No,
we
have the money. Well, officially we're broke, but the money is where the money is. The money is where the money is. So, so the naira will continue to fall because we only import, we don't export. And the demand, for forex, because people want to import things. We need to say so that people will bring it in. So, I mean, that's for me, that's a way forward. Because if we keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, it's not going to happen. So there has to be a kind of a point of inflection where, we start, turning things around to be able to get the desired result that we want.
Okay. I don't know if any of you watched the whirlwind media expose of interviews by the NNPC Group Managing Director, Mr. Kyari, in which there was just prior to the passing of the PIB, and he insisted that the underselling of petroleum products must stop, and that he says that the liter price should be something like $286 a barrel, dollars a liter, not naira a liter. He also said that they're going to refurbish the Port Harcourt refinery and the Kaduna refinery and the Warri refinery, and that once it's completed, that a private entity will be the ones managing it and not NNPC. He also mentioned that they're going to get a 20% stake in the Dangote refinery, which is also coming on stream. So he was quite bullish and saying that really by the end of Buhari's term, it's likely that Nigeria will become a net exporter of petroleum products, because refined petroleum products, because you'll have the Dangote refinery on stream. You'll have these other ones also working, although they're not in full capacity, but they will start working. Going out to 2023, that should be a great thing for the polls. What do you think?
I think it's I think it's a wonderful and really I can see it coming up because since President Buhari came on, I can see even under his former Minister of Power, Ibe Kachuku, if you remember, he put a lot of things in place in terms of at the moment we're not hearing much, but at the time there was a whole lot of reforms that went into the industry, and I can say definitely I know within a short time, like with the Dangote refinery coming on board, and with this PIB bill now being put in place, there's going to be a major overhaul of that sector. Yes, there might be errors here and there, people who are trying to sabotage. It's always going to be there in the system, but definitely Nigeria is moving progressively slowly towards the right path. It's clear, and I know like the issue of having the pump price going up, it's always been a touchy one. It's always been used as a political football because obviously if you adjust it, like Goodluck Jonathan realized, if you adjust it anyhow, people will cry out. It might be the right thing to do for the economy, but you can't just hit people at the pocket like that. If it's election time now, President Muhammadu Buhari hasn't got anything to do. Buhari can actually do it and leave, but it might hurt the party if APC would suffer with it. Okay. So there's always this balance in knowing when to do it.
Last two questions, guys. So is it not time for President Muhammadu Buhari to commence with a national tour of Nigeria to heal the nation and unite the nation, starting with the southeast, then the north central and southwest and so on, to show more empathy and hear directly from the people, to know exactly what is happening on ground and to hear the people's concerns and have more engagement with Nigerians? I think when he spoke to the people, a few weeks ago, I think things have sort of changed now. The narrative is kind of changing, and he's not this. He's not dead, and he's not, got epilepsy or whatever it is they were thinking. So he's actually a thinking real president, and he needs to meet the people. What do you think?
Yeah, that's the right thing to do, but I don't think he has the appetite to do that. I mean, he should start from even making national broadcasts to start with, let alone getting on the plane to go and meet people where they are. And he's not deeming free with everything that is happening to even have a national broadcast, even call a press conference. So, I mean, where do you start? So, I think you should start from there and addressing things, to people. Then, yeah, it's the right thing to do to go to people and to show empathy, to say, okay, we're on your side. We want things to get better. Yes, it's the right thing to do, but I'm not sure this president is prepared to do that. He just feels that, well, I do what I want to do, and nobody can question me. That's the telling how it's coming across to me.
Okay, Olubomi, what do you think?
Yeah, for me, I see the point is it's a very good thing to say. Yeah, I want to go to each regional zone. I want to go to each community to show empathy. But just like Olumi has rightly said, let's start with a press conference. You understand? Let's start with national broadcasting. Come on TV. You understand? You can still address.
But maybe that's not his forte, and maybe being one-on-one with the people might actually be more better for him. Spencer.
If that's a strength, fine. There are people who, as a president, you shouldn't even say, I can't organize a press conference. I can't come on national TV to address people. I would rather go to them physically. No, it's as a president, you should be able to use every medium of communication to communicate to your people.
Yeah, so the interviews that he did the other day was more or less like a press. What's the difference?
Yeah, that makes sense. Exactly.
Femi, I think you're right. I think with what Olumi is saying, yes, he needs to do more of that in terms of doing press conferences and reaching out to people. Also him going around, if he can, to the region, all the 6 regions of Nigeria, to go and speak to people or whatever, that would be a plus too. That would help in terms of what's going on in the Southeast, for instance. I know the Southeast, many of them are not happy with what's happening. But if we see President Muhammad Buhari landing, say, Enugu International Airport for one event to commission something, and let's say the second Niger Bridge, for instance, because I know he's probably going to commission that. If he lands to commission that and speaks to the people, I think that would be a way of reaching out. If he goes to the Southwest and reassures them before he leaves, that might be a fatherly act that could actually heal the issues that we're having in Nigeria.
Okay, the last question, guys. President Zuma was sentenced to 15 months imprisonment for failing to attend the Constitutional Court subpoena. This is a good thing in Africa. Do you think we will ever see such in Nigeria?
That's a very big question.
Okay.
That's $1 million question.
Okay, well, it's $1 million question.
No ex-president has been prosecuted since.
I think that day is coming, right? Nigeria will have it. In Nigeria, we tend to take our time to do the right things, and I know that at some point, right? It might not be now, but at some point in the future, we're going to have a rogue president who's going to try to do something or overpower or take power into his hands, and he might be surprised with what would happen eventually. And it's just a matter of time. I know, like I'm saying, even in the Western countries, it never happened overnight. Yeah, in South Africa, we must agree, South Africa's in terms of development. South Africa's ahead of Nigeria, right? And that's why you're seeing it happening there. Soon it's going to come down to Nigeria. I remember when it was military dictatorship and all that. Nigeria was probably one of the last countries to ditch the dictatorship. We tend to come last in these things, so eventually it's going to happen. But I know it's a good example for Africa as a whole. We're seeing a former president who's been put in the dock and actually sentenced to prison. This is a good development.
Not for the offense of corruption, though, just because he didn't attend the subpoena. Anyone else wants to say anything before we go?
Yeah, for me, I just think it's a good development, and I look forward to the day we're going to have such, even at the local level. Let's even start from local governments. Let's leave the federal level right now. You understand? Because everything we need to do, let's start from the grassroots. If we can get things right at the grassroots, how do we want to get things right at the federal level? At our own local level, even when you call for CDA meeting in your streets, can you boldly point to the chairman of the CDA that you have done something wrong? You find they call for CDA meeting and people don't even come out. And they sit down in their house to insult President Buhari that he's doing nothing. Whereas in your street, nobody knows you. You are contributing nothing. So I think we need to start from our various home, even with your family meeting at home, you don't go. How much must it take?
Muyiwa, last word from you.
Well, I think, yes, this has been a very good discourse, and the aim is, to get our country back on track. And I hope that people, who are listening to this or who have watched this, should have the mindset that we need to get things right. And it's not the function of one person, it's a collective effort. We just have to have the mentality to do the right thing at all time. And if we have that, I think we're going to have a leeway, to emancipate and to go to where we need to be.
Okay, quickly, what's your company name and what do you do?
Yes, I'm the director of Vitotel Technologies. It's a telecoms consultancy. I'm looking at all sort of mobile technologies, including Internet of Things. Currently, we're working on smart city and smart agriculture to make things easy. Using technology to make agriculture easy. For higher productivity, definitely, and running kind of digital marketing outfit as well. Using both SMS. That's what we do.
Okay, you have a website?
Yes, I do. www.vitotel.com and www.ibsms.com.
Fantastic. Olubunmi, what about you?
Yeah, I'm the founder of LendCash. LendCash is a cross-border lending platform that provide microloans to individuals. So LendCash is LENDKASH. You can find it on Play Store and Apple Store. And at the same time, I'm the Chief Strategies and Operations at IBF Markets. IBF Market is a Forex and CFD trading platform registered in both Nigeria and the UK. So we offer trading platform for traders, both retail traders and institutional traders. And we also offer different investment opportunities. So you can check our website at www.ibfmarkets.com.
Fantastic. Ambassador Spencer.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I'm the co-CEO of Prime View Television. And I'd like to say thank you, everyone. Thank you to all the three Olus on the program. It's been a wonderful discussion. And really, the reason why we sell Prime View Television really is for programs such as this, where we can reach out, to people, educate Nigerians. It's a young generation. Get our voices heard. And these are the kind of platforms. This is what the opportunity is. And we'd like to thank you, Femi, for your Enough is Enough. So it's okay. Weekly program. So please, everyone, keep joining us. Share our programs, every one of you. Please put the word out. We have a wonderful program and we'd like everyone to partake in it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to thank you for joining us on tonight's show. Enough is Enough. Please make sure, it's okay. Don't be shy. Don't be silent. If you see something, say something. If you can't take it no more, do something about it. Niger go better. I believe in one Niger. We all want a better Niger. A big shout out to our sponsors, Niger Beauty Products, Share My Haven Hair and Beauty Spa for massage therapy and skincare, and Masabi B Fashions. For sponsorship and advert placements, contact Prime View Television on the handle as you've seen. I'm your host, Femi Oke, founder of Better Niger, signing out. See you same time next week when we'll debate another hot topic. Over and out.
Prime View TV. New media with a difference.